Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to my channel. We're going to primarily focus on just some gear reviews, kind of the lower end, cheaper stuff. Guys that are kind of looking to get started in the hobby, that kind of stuff. What we basically have here is a 10-piece square bill crankbaits from wish.com. This whole package was, let's see here, $6.50, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't really like to quote prices, but I mean, you can get on there and find out, what these are going for. They originally came packaged in these little cellophane bags, and they were rigged with these large treble hooks right here. I think that's probably a number 12 or maybe a number 10 treble. The issue we found with these when we were catching panfish on them late season, and the reason we were using them late season was we were primarily trying to target the larger fish, sort of get away from the dinks, so to speak. Like a lot of the problem that you'll run into fishing late season panfish, like crappie and bluegill, sunfish, that whole thing, is late season. They're still on the bite, but everything's on the bite because everything's trying to pack weight on before that, big winter hits. And what we were trying to do was present larger baits and artificial baits so we get away from using natural or live bait during the winter months. Because as the weather gets colder, live bait gets more expensive and that sort of stuff. So anyway, so this is basically it. As you can see, I think this whole thing, like I said, was about $6.50. They got pretty good eyes on them, nice and reflective. Got a overall pretty decent shiny clear coat on them. A little bit of scale. There is some holes in the paint job. I mean, once again, these are really cheap, Chinesium baits. But for $6.50 for 10 of them, I mean, you can't go wrong. So just kind of as a comparison, here's a more name brand Schweppes square bill. It's roughly the same size, a little bit bigger. This is obviously a 2-hook setup. Once again, for reasons we'll explain here shortly, we've omitted the treble hook off the rear and went with a single number 8 circle hook. But as you can see with this bait, I mean, the scale pattern's a lot bigger, has a lot more detailed and finer paint job. Eyes are stickers, oddly enough, which these actually have some shape to them. So, I mean, which one's really better, which one's not, couldn't really tell you because both have caught fish. So there's that. There's always something to be said for what you have in the water is what you're going to catch fish on. So put that back real quick. But back to these cheaper crankbaits. We've had success on almost all of these. Like I said, basically what happened was when we initially started fishing these with these larger treble hooks, we were getting bites and we were catching fish. But the main issue was, I mean, you got an 8-inch bluegill mouth is about that big around. So you stick one of these larger hooks in there, you get him in a couple places and it becomes extremely difficult to get that hook out, especially if he chokes it. So vice, harming the fish or hurting them more than we need to, we've opted to go with these single hook arrangements. The other thing we found with these cheaper crankbaits is these split rings actually have some variance in the size with them. So that's why I end up with kind of this hodgepodge of hooks. So these split rings are able to fit these smaller number 8 circle hooks on them. And the rest of these, except for one, have number 8 Aberdeen hooks on them. We ended up with a number 12 on this just because the split ring is that big, and that is the smallest hook that it'll actually take. I haven't really noticed any difference as far as running a single hook versus a treble. The other nice thing about running these Aberdeen hooks is the throat size is actually relatively small for the hook size. So even though this is a number 12, you can still get a likely hookup on smaller fish with this setup. So once again, I mean, $6.50, I think with the hook swap and everything, I've got about $8 wrapped up into this whole thing. I think I've caught fish on 4 or 5 of these at least. Mostly the more natural colors, like these rainbows, is what I've fished so far. I did fish this blue one. The other ones are more kind of spring colors with the real flashy gold and the silver with red. But, I bet you even something like this early season on pike would probably work. Because, that's a old classic spoon color right there that would work really good on pike. But that's the basic setup. We've had success late season on pike. And by late season, as the weather starts to turn, water temps get a little colder, and, the fish really knuckle down and start trying to put weight on for the winter. This has been some success for us. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope it gives you a little idea on what you can do on the cheaper end of the scale as far as tackle goes. And I guess, while we're here, let's go over some of the actual rods and reels and stuff we've been using on this ultralight stuff too. Once again, this is on the cheaper end of the scale. So we've got this is a Shakespeare ugly stick. There's all the details on the rod right there. We've got a 5-foot ultralight, 2 to 6 pound line. This is the Shakespeare ugly stick DTE Pro. Really nice ultralight spinning reel. Spinning rod. It's got a pretty good reel seat to it. It's got a quick adjust. You can drop your rod, drop your reel real easy. Comes with a set hook spacer right there. My only real complaint with this ugly stick is I wish it had a little bit more foregrip on it, but the reel seat for a spinning reel is actually set back a little bit further than normal. So that lack of foregrip's not really that big a deal. So we've been using size 20 Fluker Presidents on these reels, on these rods. Using 4 pound Berkley mono, and you just direct tie your crankbait onto that, and you can still get a pretty impressive cast even with these light baits with this light setup, because this ugly stick is still pretty whippy, and you can build up a lot of power in the cast when you're winging this thing out on an ultralight spinning rod. We were probably getting cast still in I'd say 35 to 40 yard range with this light tackle, and really giving us what we needed to get from shore out to where the fish were. So, but that's pretty much it. This whole setup here is about $60. I think you can find these Fluker Presidents just about anywhere. Amazon. I've been finding these 20s at Walmart pretty regular. For not that I'm a huge fan of Walmart, but if they got what you need, they got it. So I think we paid about $25 for this setup, and then the rod itself was about $30. So this rig right here, since we bought it, we've gotten maybe 200 or 300 panfish on it with different setups. So cheap, easy to maintain, and really is super slick, super smooth, and it'll serve you a long time. That's it, guys. That's about it for this fishing review. We'll be back at you with more gear reviews. And like I said, we're going to try to keep this on the budget end of the scale, just for newer anglers and guys that just starting out, in the guys and gals that are just starting out in the field. So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for watching the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you later.